In today's news, Honorable Carvin Malone confirms 18 cases of COVID-19 in the BVI as 2 tourists, upon their departure, test positive for COVID-19 after initially testing negative.
BVI Health Services Authority receives 2 ventilators from Banco Popular and Anegada Express to resume services, believe it or not, very quickly this Saturday. All this and so much more. You're watching 284 News, and it's a happy Friday.
Hey BVI, it's 2021 and guess what? We are kicking taboo to the curb. Let's face it, the world lacks conversation. So, we are bringing you homemade cocktails, thought-provoking topics, and nuggets to rock your world. A show that promises to keep it fun, frank, and fresh. So, come on this journey with me. This is Keeping It Candid, conversations for the modern world.
Welcome everybody, it's Friday, January 8th, 2020. We're coming to you live and direct out of our paradise, our home, Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And my name is Javon Wilson. So thrilled to be towards the end of the week. But before we head into the weekend shenanigans, of course, we have to bring you your local, regional, as well as international content.
Indeed. Now, beginning our summary, the Honorable Carvin Malone, Minister of Health, confirms that 2 additional persons who cleared the COVID-19 test have now tested positive. Those are tourists coming into the BVI. In addition to that, believe it or not, strippers are entering the territory under false reasoning, and the moorings is now operating in St. Thomas USVI.
And big news on the international scene. President Donald Trump has finally conceded in a video condemning the violence at Capitol Hill. Trump said, well, he had a lot to say. Let's go to the video.
Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation.
Ron, who would have thought? I think this is welcome news. And while it is, refreshing news, unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that it took us so long to see Trump really accept not only the results of the elections, but also speaking to the violence that happened at Capitol Hill and, of course, encouraging an easy and smooth transition.
Well, Jovan, the events of the United States, especially in the capital of Washington, D.C., has been daunting within the past few days, but I think it really brings into fruition and perspective the importance of leadership and authentic leadership. Persons can only lead by example, and I think when we have in any society, in any democratic society, in any government, when you have a leader that perhaps does not exemplify the discipline and leadership that it takes, you see where the followers tend to follow suit, and I think this is the unfortunate effect of what we've seen in the Capitol.
A lot of people are saying good riddance. Viewers, as we head into today's newscast, as we would have touched on just yesterday when reports came to our newsroom, 2 tourists who would have initially cleared the mandatory COVID-19 testing, and that would have been 3 tests, Ron. The one prior to coming to the BVI, and of course your day 0 and day 4 tests. Those persons have now tested positive upon testing to leave the territory. Now, the Minister of Health and Social Development, Honorable Carvin Malone, was today able to officially confirm the details via a press update. Let's watch.
The Ministry of Health and Social Development is currently investigating 2 persons of interest from among the active cases. Both of these persons tested negative and were cleared from quarantine on day 4, but subsequently tested positive during their exit screening that was required for departure. Both individuals and their close contacts are under secured mandatory 14-day quarantine and subject to testing as directed by the protocols. To date, one of the persons of interest has 3 contacts that have tested positive for COVID-19, while others are scheduled for testing at the most appropriate time to detect the presence of the virus. It is also important to note that one of the persons of interest visited a number of establishments on Virgin Gorda, and after an aggressive contact tracing exercise, most of the close contacts have been identified, interviewed, quarantined, and is being monitored. The ministry has reviewed each of the establishments and have determined that they are in full compliance with the appropriate protocols. As an extra layer of security aimed at easing the minds of patrons and the general public, the Ministry of Health is asking persons who attended the New Year's party at Maya restaurant between the hours of 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. to call the Ministry of Health at 468-2274 and 468-4936 or email covid19.virginislands@gmail.com to schedule a COVID-19 RT-PCR test. This request is for everyone who was in attendance, whether you live on Virgin Gorda or any other of the sister islands. Testings will be made available in Virgin Gorda at the Anglican Church Hall from 10 a.m. to 12 noon and at the Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital tent between the hours of 12 midday and 2 p.m. from Friday the 8th of January 2021 through Sunday the 10th. Persons are encouraged to call or email to schedule their time for testing. To avoid crowding at testing locations, it is preferred that persons first call or email and do not just show up for testing. I am pleased that so far persons have been coming in to get tested, and some businesses have been voluntarily erring on the side of caution and are temporarily closing the doors to safeguard our community until the contact tracing process.
Quite a shocking revelation.
Yes,
Persons
indeed.
who would have, of course, gone through the mandatory testing protocols, Ron, and of course visited quite a few establishments, more popularly Maya. Who would have known only upon testing to leave, that mandatory test to leave the territory, did we realize that they were positive with COVID-19. Now, many concerns have surfaced questioning how this could have happened. But the one thing I think we know about this situation, Ron, is that the fact that this virus is invisible and also a very, very fluid situation. And this is why we have to continue to be cautious. And of course, persons who visited those establishments are now being encouraged to, as soon as possible, reach out to get tested. The minister also revealed that strippers are entering the territory under the guise of visiting family members, which he says further complicates and compromises the health of BVI residents in the midst of COVID-19. Listening.
The government has also become aware that a number of persons are utilizing the entry procedures to import exotic dancers and other persons for employment into the territory under the guise of being family members or friends. These flagrant episodes of disregard for public safety and the protocols that have been established to ensure protection of lives and livelihoods during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic will not be tolerated. The government has recently instituted a number of fines and penalties and expanded the categories of officers designated to administer tickets. In addition, the Social Distancing Task Force will continue to make unannounced visits and will hold persons and businesses accountable to being responsible. We cannot play with the health and lives of each other. We are in this together, but each of us must do our part.
Ron, I know people say there is absolutely nothing new under the sun, but I think with COVID-19, quite a number of unprecedented things happening.
Correct.
I'm sure, some of us don't necessarily have anything against exotic dancers, but when it comes to COVID-19, I think we all have to share.
I like how you just slipped that in.
Some of us, we really do have to seriously
And respectfully.
absolutely exercise a direct responsibility as it relates to ensuring that we are not only safeguarding our health, but the health of the people around us in this pandemic. And, a lot of persons are suffering, rightfully so. A lot of businesses are suffering. But when you think about making a few extra dollars, you have to really consider what price you're willing to pay.
Well, Jovan, it brings a very valid point to the occasion that you raise in persons not being opposed to certain industries or lifestyles. But at the end of the day, I think as a government, when we look at the protection of our people and our residents, we have to look at all that could go wrong. And I don't think we're doing a very good job at that. At the furthest, we're quickly saying, this happened as a result of, or this is a responsibility of someone. And when you look at the equation, and we call it fluid all the time, persons and situations changing as it pertains to COVID-19, you have to think of what all that could go wrong.
Being
Not easily and quickly blaming it on
Right,
exotic
putting the
dancers or
necessary.
that's not appropriate. However, continuing on, viewers, on the local scene again, the BVI Health Services Authority is the recipient of a donation of 2 portable ventilators and accessories that's from the mask, including a lot of different accessories of Banco Popular. They contributed a very significant amount towards the health and safety of the residents. Minister for Health and Social Development, the Honorable Carvin Malone, and Acting Chief Executive Officer Mrs. Malone Smith accepted the donation on Monday, January 4th. Now, Honorable Malone stated that he was extremely pleased with the corporate responsibility that the bank has shown. In an official comment, he said, and I quote, "I would like to thank Banco Popular for their generosity as they have spared no expense, and I look forward to working with them in the future." Now, Honorable Malone also took the time to encourage other corporate organizations to partner with government and the BVI Health Services Authority in really collaborating and to invest in the contributed cause and development of the healthcare system locally in the BVI. Now, in addition to the portable ventilators, now the BVI Health Service Authority, they have a more flexible ability to manage patients and really look at the extensive need. A lot of the things that we've been looking for, viewers, as it pertains to COVID-19, believe it or not, has been the lack of ventilators. And now we have 2 more compliments of the Banco Popular. Now, in an official comment again, Mrs. Malone Smith said the ability to do extra with the portable ventilators cannot be unnoticed. If something happens on the sister islands, we now have the capacity, which is acceptable, to move the efficiency with a ventilator, which we didn't have before, and this is quite exceptional, she said. Now, Jovan, quite a beautiful story. We see where corporate, and we've spoken about this many times, corporate partnership. Banco Popular has stepped in and contributed 2 ventilators towards the BVI Health Services Authority, which could possibly save the life of one of their very own.
Absolutely, a very significant contribution, especially since, Ron, across the world we're dealing with COVID-19, and many locations, many countries are in need. It's really a competition to see who's going to get to it first. So congratulations to Banco for, of course, lending that support to our health services. Still ahead, a former legislator, Honorable Myron Walwyn, says we must at all costs avoid further failed deadlines, and Anegada Express is back on schedule. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
The win! Oh!
What the hell
I'm freaking out!
is time? 284 News.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Viewers, welcome back. You're watching 284 News out of Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. Thanks for sticking with us. Now, on the local scene, continuing, in a recent Facebook post, former Education Minister and businessman Myron V. Walwyn shared his thoughts on the management of COVID-19 in the British Virgin Islands. Now, the post, which began by highlighting the mammoth task for any government in the handling of this global pandemic, stated, and I quote, "I have long maintained that the management of this pandemic and its various effects is not any task for any government. The management of the equilibrium between health and the economy requires strong leadership extremely. Now, in the fail of realizing the important balance which will result in the serious damage to the country, Walwyn continued by saying, because of this precarious task at hand, it behoves me that the decision makers to have to really plan in which monitor throughout the each and every day-to-day aspects so that adjustments could be made in a timely fashion to avoid any sudden shocks. Now, he also suggested, and I quote, that if the territory of the Virgin Islands does not already have a COVID-19 coordinator, a COVID Caesar should be considered and appointed. He continued by saying, I'm not sure if there is anyone who at this time is responsible for the overall in the government to coordinate COVID-19 matters between the government departments, the statutory corporations, and the business community. If there is one with this responsibility, it may be wise to employ a COVID-19 representative who will be responsible for this important daily monitoring of the plain, just day-to-day operations and the reality on the ground. We must, he said, continued at all costs to avoid any further failed deadlines in this scenario. Now, in October, the world was told, he continued by saying, the BVI would not be open for business in December. Our visitors made their plans accordingly, only to then be advised that the new date for the opening seaports would be in January. Now, in January, we are now told that it will be in March. The vast number, he continued by saying, overnight tourists that visit the BVI do so through our seaports. Very simply put it is far cheaper, and more convenient to travel to the BVI through St. Thomas than the Terence B. Lethem International Airport. Jovan, a very daunting scenario. Of course, this statement came after the government of the Virgin Islands announced that our seaports will no longer, particularly the Rotown ferry terminal, and of course this includes West End, believe it or not, will not be open until March 1st. And so we see a former legislator just weighing in and sharing his thoughts. This is a year later than we would have initially anticipated.
I don't think a lot of persons really realize
put
that.
the time perspective into a scenario, and here we see Mr. Walwyn guiding his thoughts, and a year is a long time.
Absolutely, especially being that we are also known as a sailing capital of the world, and like past legislator
But you can't
Mr.
sail.
Walwyn said, you know, majority of our tourists come through the seaports. And Ron, one of the things we have to acknowledge is that it is a difficult situation for any government to handle, but succession planning is very important. And even if, you know, we're not able to stick to those plans, being able to change as we go along is also important as well. Viewers, as we move right along, in a second statement sent to customers just within 24 hours, the management and staff of Anegada Express has issued another official statement in regards to the correspondence issued earlier this week. Now, the most recent statement reads, and I quote, Anegada Express would like to sincerely apologize for its premature announcement about suspension of services with both the government members, the Honorable Vincent Whitley and the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, having already had plans in place to take care of the people of Anegada, while the company mistakenly did not follow up on available information before actions were announced. Full services will resume this Saturday, the 9th of January, with further details coming on improved and more cost-effective cargo movement operations for paying passengers. We offer our sincere apologies for the company's premature announcement and any aggravations caused. End of quote. Now, viewers, as we all know, this followed a daunting statement that was released early in this week that highlighted the company's frustration with what they called, quote, a lack of support from the government, and as a result was ready to cease operations. However, that statement was retracted, and now we see Anegada Express set to resume services from tomorrow, January 9th. Now, Minister for Labor and Immigration Honorable Vincent Whitley, who from inception was a big supporter of this ferry, has since taken to social media to congratulate the ferry's new decision to reopen. He said, and I quote, "Good morning, Anegada. I want to thank the ownership of Anegada Express and my colleagues for coming together to work our way forward for Anegada Express. Not only were jobs saved, but a vital service restored. End of quote. Now, there is quite a saga, but certainly not shocking because, like Anegada Express, Ron, many companies have really
Yes,
found
correct.
themselves in a financial conundrum and literally clutching to a straw as it relates to making ends meet, as it relates to keeping their doors open. The unfortunate reality is, while government is going to be able to assist some of these businesses, that help will not extend to the rest of the BVI. And so one of the things we want to, while we're very happy to see this happen, is we just want to encourage businesses to do all they can and all they must to stay afloat in this uncertain time.
Well, my dear Jovan, with doing all you can and all you must, that may sometimes mean closing and shutting your doors.
Absolutely.
And like we see, believe it or not, while persons may or not want to understand the factor of the partnership between the government and a lot of its necessity companies, they fail to be able to function because their services are an asset to the community. But when you make statements of such, we see a reduction in statement, and we're so happy to see the people of Anegada really see a functioning connection, because it's very important. A lot of our pivotal businesses survive on Anegada, just like Jasen Penn.
Yes.
With the COVID-19, tourism has taken a hit, so we support them, and we wish the government and the people of the sister islands all the best in the partnership as it pertains to the continuation.
All right, viewers, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, Trump finally concedes, and Mr. Jasen Penn appointed as the acting director of DDM. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Now, continuing on the local scene here in the British Virgin Islands, in a Government Information Services release, it was announced that the longtime staffer at the Department of Disaster Management, DDM, Mr. Jasen Penn, has been appointed to act as the department's director effective January 1st. Now, Acting Governor Mr. David D. Archer Jr. said, and I quote, Mr. Penn's appointment is yet another example of the development of the Virgin Islands talent within the public service. He continued by saying Mr. Penn is one of those persons who began as a volunteer, Jovan, believe it or not, and we look at that which we love, that was then called to the Disaster Auxiliary Corps. It is gratifying to see that one of our own, who has been acknowledged as a disaster risk management leader in the region, put the expertise to use for the good of the territory. That was concluded by Mr. Archer. Now, meanwhile, Mr. Penn's colleagues, Ms. Shania Armstrong, has been appointed to act as a deputy director in the same department, and she has been appointed to that post permanent secretary, deputy permanent secretary in the office of the deputy governor, Mrs. Charlene Dabrio. She's the new permanent secretary. MBE said that the dual promotions of Mr. Penn and Miss Armstrong from within the department really demonstrate how the entire public service benefits from the effective succession planning and ongoing development. In an official comment, she said, and I quote, "These are two officers who have demonstrated their commitment to the territory of the Virgin Islands and to work and do so. The government has in turn supported them by investing in their professional development, and they have continued to be a very effective part of the team guiding the Virgin Islands through disaster management." Now, Mr. Penn first joined the Department of Disaster Management in 1999 and has served in various roles in the department, including as Emergency Communications Manager since 2017. He holds a Master of Certificate in Development and Public Investment, as well as a number of different certifications, and of course, likewise with Ms. Penn, Jovan, we are so happy to see young persons within these various fields. It is very important. We talk about professional development quite a number of times. when we see them rise in the ranks of the civil service, I think it's fitting, and we continue to congratulate them and wish them the very best. Disaster management, viewers, is by no means an easy task.
Absolutely.
We are faced with that many times, and we continue to just support the community and, of course, this very pivotal department in our community.
Absolutely, and very timely position as well, since the disaster management bill was just amended
Correct.
and passed in the House of Assembly to support not only Mr. Penn within his position, but also the structure and the mechanisms needed to protect us here in the Virgin Islands. Now, viewers, the Moorings, the world's premier yacht charter company, is thrilled to announce that they have established charter operations in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands for the 2021 charter season. A variety of charter options will be available, with all-inclusive cruise yachts charters available beginning in February 2021, and bareboat sailing and power yacht charters available from March of this year. Now, the new base joins the Moorings' growing list of charter destinations now open and available for charters in 2021. Now, just a short 10-minute drive from the Cyril E. King Airport, this newest base is located in Yacht Haven Grand Marina in Charlotte O'Malley, with multiple major airlines accommodating direct flights from the United States. Charter guests will now find it easier than ever to arrive at their yacht quickly and seamlessly. In addition to that, no passport is required for U.S. citizens from Charlotte O'Malley guests who are free to enjoy the diverse beauty of the U.S. Virgin Islands, from the cosmopolitan flair in St. Thomas, the quiet serenity of St. John, as well as St. Croix over there in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they're also ideal, of course, for water sports, including snorkeling, diving, and recreational fishing. As always, guests will enjoy these enchanting cruising aboard the Moorings' world-class fleet of yachts, including the previous Boat of the Year winners, the Moorings 5000, as well as the Moorings 4,500 sailing catamarans, as well as the smaller 3 cabins Moorings 4,000 sailing catamaran, and a swift and stylish 433 catamaran. The VP of Sales and Marketing, Josie Tusi, said, and I quote, "We are so thrilled to launch St. Thomas as our newest destination. The USVI has long been a long sought after cruising ground, and we are so excited to offer this new captivating destination to our charter guests." Of course, so much great things coming from Tusi. Great news for the Moorings family, Ron. And it's a little sad in comparison to what's happening here in the BVI. We just mentioned a few minutes ago that the BVI is also known as the sailing capital of the world. And when we look across the region, one of the things we saw as a detriment to the BVI is the fact that some of that business might go elsewhere.
Correct. It has already gone elsewhere.
Yes, and so now we're seeing the USVI
capitalizing,
absolutely capitalizing on that, and trusting that soon enough, as a territory, we'll be able to bounce back and retain some of our tourists.
Yeah, indeed, Jovan. We do have to, I think, when you come to the very competitive industry of tourism, you have to keep a keen eye, and you have to be cognizant. And I think all territories and countries across the region, we're essentially competing for the very same product. When you look across the region of the Caribbean, we're all fighting for the same clientele, and I think it's very important that we continue to be cognizant and be aware as we fight for the tourism industries in each of our countries.
Absolutely. And viewers, like we mentioned, we're out of time, but Trump has conceded he's ready to hand over power to the Joe Biden administration, of course. So you can get all the details on that story via our website, that is 284media.com, as well as so many other articles that we were unable to cover today. You can also like us on Facebook at 284media, and we're also on Instagram and Twitter at 284BVI. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Ron Grant. It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct out of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. We do wish you a beautiful weekend. Be safe, continue to be well, and we will see you on Monday as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. We're 284 News, coming to you live and direct out of Tortola in the BVI. Happy Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.